Thank you. Ms. Engström.
To me, the issue of net neutrality is the single most important aspect of this regulation. And the reason I say that is that I believe that the only way in the long run that consumers will be faced with good offers, innovative offers, etc., is that we have competition. Now, the competition is necessary on the service level. That's where we want to have lots of different providers. And in this context, unfortunately, the interests, or at least the short-sighted interests of the telecoms industry are contrary to the interests of service providers in general and thereby consumers. Over the last couple of days or weeks, I've been talking to lobbyists from a number of telecoms companies. They're all saying essentially the same thing, that they very, very much look forward to having specialized services. They think that is the thing that they absolutely want. And they have more or less all of them tried to convince me that the Internet is not good enough for delivering video, so that video or television has to be delivered through specialized services. One of these lobbyists from one of the major telcos tried very hard to convince me that there is a big difference, because I pointed out that, well, on the Internet where I am, it works perfectly well to watch video. I mean, quite obviously, that's what the Internet is for. 90% or more of all the volume on the Internet is video. So I mean, in my world, the Internet is perfectly good for delivering video. This lobbyist was trying to convince me that there is a big difference between video on the one hand and IP television on the other hand. And I must admit, he completely failed to convince me on that. But it's quite obvious that all the telcos really, really want specialized services where they can set the terms, where they can decide if a particular other service provider is allowed to offer his services on the European market, and in that case, what he will have to pay to the service provider. So with this background, I was very concerned, but not the least bit surprised to listen to Mr. Meek for representing the joint venture between Deutsche Telekom and Orange, which of course are two of the dominant former state monopolies that are now just dominant players in the respective country. When you talk about how the telecoms industry wants to develop innovative offerings, that's exactly what I would want to avoid. I want that all businesses in Europe, as it has been up until now, should have access to the Internet on the same terms, on predictable terms. But obviously what Orange and Deutsche Telekom and many others would prefer is that they're allowed to pick winners and losers. When they find a winner, that they're allowed to set whatever terms they want for the specialized service. And, of course, so here we have the interest, or at least the short-sighted interest of the telecoms industry, in direct opposition to the interests of the internal market or enterprises in general, and therefore consumers. Similarly, when you talk about, Mr. Meek mentioned the fact that the telecoms industry is regulated, whereas the general services offered on the Internet are not regulated to the same extent. Yes. That's exactly how it should be, and that is completely intentional. If Deutsche Telekom, for instance, when they're offering a service, if they're allowed to give their own service access to a fast-lane Internet and are able to put everybody else's competing service on just the dirt road, low speed, best effort, which may not be so best effort after all, since it's competing with the telecoms provider. I mean, that would be really, really, really detrimental to consumers. So for that reason, I agree with the general remarks made by the rapporteur, Mr. Harbour, that very surprised that the Commission is coming up with such a big package so late in the term and so early after we have already legislated on this. But leaving that aside, I do welcome what the Commission is saying on net neutrality, but the problem is that they're leaving this gigantic hole in the bucket called specialized services, which would allow the telcos to favor their own services or to favor those of big companies that pay extra, that will provide permanent major uncertainty for everybody doing business in Europe, except for the telcos themselves. This is not the way we should go. So for that reason, I think we should look very, very seriously indeed at the specialized services, make sure that we don't turn this into something that will do irreparable harm to the internal market when it comes to anything that's internet related. Thank you.